It's Liam or Weagle on your Overwatch, back with a new video today. We're going to go through the Lucio guide that has probably been needed for quite some time now, and I'm going to insert the joke here. Oh, you just press E. No, you don't. Lucio is one of the best heroes in the game and always has been, and probably always will be unless they seriously nerf his speed boost to a point where it's completely useless. However, he is used in very different ways in solo queue to 6-stack, so there is a lot to go through. So I'm going to start with his healing. If you're playing in a solo queue environment and you're not really a Lucio player, but you take him because you want to be the nice guy, you want to fill for your team, so you fill in as Lucio. However, if you're not going to be able to use your speed boost to initiate because your team won't actually follow up on the speed boost, and all you're going to be doing is healing as Lucio, you're actually better off taking a different healing combination, whether that be Ana Mercy or Ana Zen or Mercy Zen. Any combination is better if you're in solo queue and no one uses the speed boost. The speed boost is so powerful, and it's the best part of his kit by far. It's used to initiate and counter initiate, as well as just run away from some fights as well. So I'm going to go through them uses now. The first and the most common use for speed boost is probably just to initiate through a choke point. You get there with your whole team and you speed them through, and then you swap back to healing as you get to the other side, or as you get to safety. You can then continue to heal until you need to disengage. Sometimes the fight won't be going well and you may have speeded past the choke and you get up towards the enemy point, but you've lost too many people. At that point, it's better to actually put speed back on from healing and get your team out of there to run away and disengage. Now, the only way the enemy team can chase up on this in that way is if that they also have a Lucio and they counter initiate, which I will show some on screen too. Now, it will be from the point of Zarya, but it's in a game on Eichenwalde where the enemy team are trying to push through, but we just keep counter initiating on them. Now, you can use them to chase down, but it effectively means the same thing. On defense, actually being the aggressor, and that is where higher skill Lucios see a lot of advantage, and this is even in solo queue as well, because a decent Lucio playing with a Rein that he doesn't know may sometimes realize the Rein's gone in too far and just speed in. The team will then usually follow up. Now, again, this isn't always, and in them games where speed isn't being followed up, you should pick another healer because they're simply better at it. Now, Lucio's healing after the nerf, especially for tanks, is nowhere near what Mercy and Ana can do. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you guys how to initiate with Lucio. You can see my team waiting for the point. There's no Rein shield up because we don't want it to be wrecked before we start, and we're waiting for our team to come from spawn. Rein shield up, speed through, run to the left, focus down the Roadhog, and pretty much take the point from there. You'll see we're still on speed boost because my team get a bit separated, and then you swap to healing when people need it. You don't get a lot of passive healing, but as the countdown is about to end, I can then amp the healing again in a second. Unfortunately, we do get hit by a bit of an Ana nade, but a lot of my team are getting healed still, and that is the simple combo of just swapping between speed and healing, and that concept happens all the time. You need to be swapping between the two depending on how much HP your team have and how much you want to initiate or counter initiate. Now I'll show you guys what I mean by counter initiate. My team are waiting for the enemy team to push down the hill. We push in with the Lucio speed boost in just a second. It is from the perspective of Zarya, but that doesn't matter. The whole team speed in, do loads of damage to the enemies, wipe them out, game over, easy peasy. The Reaper just jumps down and manages to press Q with all that skill and take out the enemy team. Now, this game on Eichenwalde, we do this for the next 3-4 minutes or so. The enemy team keep trying to push up towards us, but we keep counter initiating on them, and it's a very, very important tool. Now, this isn't a 5-stack game, and it can even happen in solo queue too. You just have to trust your teammates. So hopefully they've got a microphone, and if they haven't, it's going to be very difficult to coordinate it. So back to that swap to another healer situation. You'll see we're doing the same again now. We're pushing in, we're speeding in, and we're just taking everything out. We're then chasing them down. So it's turned from counter initiation into actually chase them down into their spawn. We realise we're getting a little bit far in there though, and again, just try to back off. I think the Lucio speed boost isn't on at this point because he's somewhere else, but that is the general premise of it, is chasing things down, whether you be on attack, whether you be on defense, and that's what Lucio's main kit is for. The next thing to talk about really is how do you define whether you should swap between the two? Well, if you're at a choke point in your speed, as I've already noticed, and when things start taking damage, you generally want to go back to healing unless the damage is too high or you're nowhere near your amp, in which case you keep speed on. You then switch to healing as your amp's about to come back round in case you really do need that burst. You should be swapping between the two, sometimes every 10 seconds and sometimes every few seconds. It does depend on the fight, and learning the hero will teach you how to do it. There's not really something that can be shown or taught in our videos, and playing him will obviously help the most when trying to do this. But do know that it's very important you swap between the two, and if you don't need to swap between the two because the speed's not being used, get Ana Zen. How many times have I said it? Ana Zen, Ana Mercy. We can definitely use a different combination if it's not going to be used. So I've got two more things to talk about, and the first one is his ult usage. So there's two ways his ult gets used very often. The first one is again on the initiation. So a team will initiate and speed boost, and this can be really good, but it does depend on what ults the enemy team have. You need to really speed into the enemy, and when you start taking damage, then you pop your ultimate. Do note though that the ultimate doesn't regen people's HP, so if they've taken damage before the ult goes off, you will need to swap to healing because it doesn't physically heal them, it just gives them shields over time, which then deteriorates. You then get back to the swapping between speed and healing once you're on the point and you've already popped your ultimate. Now the other version of the ult usage, which I see all the time, is actually defensively, and this can be very difficult to get right. If your team get gravitoned by an enemy Zarya, you can pop it and save your entire team. But if that Zarya has a Reaper following up on the damage, including a soldier, especially with how powerful he is now, spamming into that Graviton, you're actually going to be wasting your Lucio ult. So you need to make sure there's either no one around or not enough follow-up for people to possibly kill you through it. Yes, it can be used defensively very well. If the enemy team initiate, you can then pop it and survive the fight against a lot of different ultimates. It's great against McCree's ultimate because it makes him have to wait forever to be able to pop it. It's good against lots of different things. But if your team all get bunched up by the Zarya ult, or if you all get frozen by Mei's ult, there's no point in popping the Lucio ult because by the time you're out of theirs, you'll be dead anyway. You're better off regrouping and keeping it for the next fight. The other usage of the ult is in the middle of a team fight that's been going on a while. Say you get it, as long as you've got 3 or 4 of your team still alive, maybe 1 or 2 of the enemy team are dead, you can then pop your ult to save the people that are alive. But it's honestly best for some defensive situations, but not necessarily when you're being grouped by a Graviton or something of that nature. And it's good on attack, but don't initiate it too early, or else by the time you get to the point, you won't have the health. When you do pop the ultimate as well, it's very, very important you pop it at a time where your team are actually killing things. If you pop Lucio's ult and run to the point and there's nothing to fight, you've completely wasted it. So make sure there's a fight before you pop it. The last thing to talk about is his gun, and it's very important for 2 different reasons. Now, the gameplay you would have seen in the background at some point, I've saved many teammates or booped someone off the map with using his alternate fire. This can be used by a Reinhardt trying to pin someone on your team. You can just boop him to the side so he doesn't hit anything. If someone's getting in your face and there's a ledge, you can boop them off the edge of the map. This is huge Lucio value. You get an instant kill by booping someone off the map and an instant save by booping them away, and it should always be used and fired, but it isn't always easy to implement. Again, it does come from playing the hero, and you'll learn more and more when to use it, but you can boop a Reaper ult away from you. You can boop someone off the map. You could even boop a McCree that's ulting just so he can't hit everyone on your team. Alternatively, you have his primary fire, which you should always be shooting. No one cares about accuracy in this game when it comes to Lucio. It doesn't matter. Keep firing as many shots as you can, hitting as many headshots all the time. Even follow up on a Graviton with Lucio. Just do some headshot damage because you charge your ult really, really quickly. You should always be firing as Lucio, doing damage, and you can even get golden limbs with him if you do it. Because you're always safe and in the back line, you can just spam off damage, do a bit of chip and get eliminations. Gold eliminations as Lucio isn't super rare because he's so good at doing chip damage from a long distance, because his projectiles are spaced apart and they can just spam across the map and you get loads of them. So you should always be shooting to charge your ult, you should always be doing it to do damage too, and booping is a real lifesaver for your team and also to confirm some kills, especially on King of the Hill maps where there's a lot of wells or sides of the maps or things to boot people off from. So that's just about all of his kit. it's super important to get the most out of him that you learn all of these things. Now, I've used some great on-screen examples, and I've also gone over some conceptual stuff because some of it can't really be taught and does need to be practiced. But only pick him if you need the speed. Don't heal with him, he's not that guy. Make sure you're booping and doing damage, it charges your ult and saves your teammates. Only use your ult when you get enough people in it and there's a point to do it. Make sure you're in the middle of a fight or in a bad situation where the ult will actually save you. But the main thing of all, guys, is speed. Speeding into the choke, speeding away from people. Counter initiation on defense when you're up a man or chasing them down into their spawn. If you're not using speed, I've said it a billion times, don't pick Lucio. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Be sure to follow our Twitter and our Discord. We post daily and you can find people to group within Discord and maybe find the Lucio of your dreams so you don't have to pick it. Be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed and have a great day as always. Take care and peace, people.